In the previous episode, we used the print command to display the result in the console. It's time to go a bit further and see all the possibilities. Print is a built-in function, meaning that Pyto has already it in his memory. You just have to call it to use it. So, when you use the print function, you ask Pyto to take what's between the bracket and print it out of one line of text. Let's see it with a quick example. So let's say we want to print I am Pyto. We write print, open the bracket, quote, I am Pyto, quote, close the bracket. Let's run the program and see what happened in the console. So what happened? As you can see, Pyto takes the value between the bracket, called parameters, into the print machine and press it. It then sends it to the console and the result appears. You can also extract the message into its own variable with a meaningful name to enhance readability and promote code reuse. So we're gonna take the same message, I am Pyto, but we're gonna put it in a variable called message. Message equal quote, I am Pyto, quote, and we're gonna print it. So print, open the bracket, and the name of the variable, message, close the bracket. Let's run the program once again. And what appears in the console is the message I am Pyto. Perfect! The print function can also display variable content of any type. We saw above the example with a string, so let's try out with numbers. We're gonna print the size of Pyto, which is, if you remember, 1.30. So print, open the bracket, 1.30, close the bracket, and run the program. As with a string, we can also create a variable and print this variable. So we're gonna create the variable age equal 5, and then print, open the bracket, age, close the bracket, and see what's happened. Five is not displayed in the console. That's what we wanted. And that's the same for booleans. So we can print false, for example. So print, open the bracket, false, don't forget the uppercase, and close the bracket. See what's happening in the console? It prints false. We're gonna try another one. Snake equal true. Print, open the bracket, snake, close the bracket, and run the program. We can even print collections. So let's take an example. We're going to take a tuple called my tuple equal, open the bracket, quote Pyto, comma 5, comma 1.30, comma true, close the bracket. And we're going to print it. So print, open the bracket, my tuple, close the bracket, and see what happens. We see as result the entire tuple. But if we want to go faster, we can simply put the tuple into the print function just like that. And the result will be the same. When called with no parameters, meaning that nothing is between the bracket, print just results in one line jump. So let's hit print, open and close the bracket, run the program, see? It is also possible to display the content of multiple variables, whatever their type, by separating them with commas. To illustrate that, let's take the variables age and name that we used in previous episode and add some text between. So, age equal 5, next line, name equal quote, Pyto, quote, and we're gonna print, open the bracket, name, comma, open the quote, is, close the quote, comma, age, comma, open the quote, years old, close the quote and close the bracket, and see what's happening. As you can see, Pyto assembles a complete sentence by positioning parameters in order and replacing variables age and name by their respective values. The items are each converted to text form, separated by spaces. Last thing I want to talk to you about the print function are parameters by default. You probably noticed that Pyto has added a space between each value. So space character is the character by default. But we can modify this by passing to print function, which means adding the set parameter and specifying the character we want to use, whatever it be. Let's see an example to clarify it. So we're gonna retake the previous example, age equals 5, name equals Pyto, and we're gonna print, open the bracket, name, comma is, comma age, comma years old, and comma, and then we're gonna add the sep parameter. So sep, S-E-P, equals quote, quote, close the bracket, and see what's happening. As you can see, there is no more space between each values. Let's try another example. So print, open the bracket, name, comma, is, comma, age, comma, years old, comma, sep equals, quote, plus sign, quote, and close the bracket. Now, if we run the program, it will print with the plus sign between the values. There is another parameter by default with the print function that we can modify. We saw that whenever we use the print function, it automatically jumps one line. If we want to modify it, we have to use the end parameter and assign a value to it. Let's try out. We're gonna write 3 different examples and compare them. So the first one, let's call it the normal one, is print hello. Next line, print Pyto. The second one will be print hello, comma, and equal, quote, quote. Close the bracket. Next line, print Pyto. And the third one will be print, open the bracket, quote hello, quote, comma, and equals, quote, backslash, n, quote, close the bracket. Next line, print Pyto. So let's run the program. What we see is that in the first example, it jumped one line. With the second one, all values are glued. And finally, the third one is the same as the first, because the backslash n is the programmatic newline character. You can even mix the 2 arguments keywords. Set parameter, when used with the end parameter, produce awesome results. Let's see some examples by combining the sep and the end parameters. So on the first line, we're gonna print 2 strings, so print snake, comma, cat with 2 parameters, sep and end, that contain comma space. So sep equal comma space and n equal comma space. On the next line, we're gonna print dog, comma bird, comma the parameter sep with comma and space once again, and the end parameter with a dot. Let's see the result. So all the values are in one line and separated by a comma, and at the end there is a dot. That's it for this part. As usual, don't hesitate to practice, create new variables, add parameters, and print them. See you in the next episode!